Hello, Camp Adventure. This is Jason Hammond from the Children's Museum of Houston. I am the ASD manager, and today we're going to talk about the concept of making. Now, making is very easy to define. Sometimes it's a little bit difficult to do. That's okay. Let me first define it. Making is using available materials to make a particular object. You might be asked to take certain things and make a wallet. You might be asked to take certain things and make a boat that travels across a pool. Whatever it is, all you're supposed to use is the stuff that's given to you, and you have to figure it out on your own how you're going to make it. The process of making can be a little bit scary at first, because it's like, well, I'm not being told what to do. But that's the whole idea. It's like, you have this stuff, you do it the way you want to do it, and impress me with it. Impress your parents, impress everyone. Like, there's no rules to making other than the fact that at the end of the day, it needs to sort of look like what we're asking you to make. So if you're asked to make a wallet and a giraffe is what comes out, as long as it can hold money inside of it, credit card, some identification, some coins, you've done it. That's fine. So that's the idea. It's using your creativity, but only using the materials given to you to make your creativity come to life. So what we're going to ask you to make is a journal, because it's really important that scientists, which is partially what you're going to be this camp, take down notes. So you're going to make this journal, and then every other activity you do, the other four, you're going to write entries into that journal. Okay? So when you do your dinosaur activity, you're going to be able to draw in all the bones and write about where you found them and how you put the dinosaur together. When you get to the mummy, you're going to say, oh, this is how mummies were created in Egypt. All right? They're created differently in different places. When you do your duct tape wallet, you can put out the process of what you did to make your wallet. That's another making project. So that one right there will also be one where I kind of tell you, like, this is what you're going to use. These are tricks you can use to make it, but you can make it any way you want. That's the cool thing about making. Just go ahead, take the materials, and make what we asked you to make. Now, you can also use stuff from your home. If you have like thread and needles and other things that we don't provide you, or different sizes of things that we do provide you, or whatever else that might be lying around, you can. But we're going to ask you to do a certain thing, okay? And that is, we're going to ask you to sew together your journal. So right away, you know you're going to need a needle, you're going to need some sort of thread, and we provide that with you. We give you this needle right here. It's a big, thick needle, which means it's less sharp, so it's less harmful to you. We give you some yarn that's going to be used as your thread. And here's another color, because you get a couple different choices, all right? You're also going to use a hammer and a nail right here to poke holes into your journal, because your journal is going to be kind of thick. It's going to be 10 sheets of computer paper or printer paper, and there's going to be a front and back cover. So depending on how you make it, you're going to probably have to hammer through, because you won't be able to push your needle through. It's very, very difficult. You're also going to be using these binder clips here to hold everything together as you sew it together. And then we give you other things like, buttons, like these different types of buttons. Like there's a little heart-shaped button right here. There's a little rectangular-shaped button. And we give you felt where you can make designs. And we'll give you a couple different sheets of felt so you can make different designs. You're going to have some rules to your making, but they're not going to be like, do it like this. It's going to be more like, you can use 10 sheets of paper. You can use 1 or 2 sheets of cardstock. You can use a certain length of yarn. Actually, there is no certain length. You can use the yarn the way you want to. We give you plenty. You can put your holes on the side and bind it this way, or you can open it up, put it in the middle, and bind it through the middle. However you want, okay? It's your journal. It's what you want to do. I want to show you just a few things, though, so that you're ready to go when it's time to sew this together. First thing I want to show you how to do is how to go ahead and thread a needle. So you're lucky, your needle has a nice big, it's called an eye. It's that right there, a nice big eye. And you're going to get your yarn. I mean, like I said, it's a pretty long piece of yarn. And it's always easiest, I know a lot of people find this gross, but it's always easiest to give it a little lick. And then you're just going to go ahead and push it through the eye, like that. All right? And if it starts to unravel a little bit, just sort of grab onto it and see if you can pull that piece off. and you gotta go ahead and you gotta pull it through from there. So there you go. So I had a little bit of unraveling, but that's okay, because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tie it off at the end. So you see I have the ends here, okay? I'm gonna take the needle, I'm gonna put it down, I'm gonna go ahead and grab the ends here, and I'm just gonna tie them into a knot. And then later on, the scissors we give you, you can cut that, okay? But I'm just showing you right now, so you just go ahead and tie the two ends together. And if you have a different way you want to do this even, you can. It's just, I'm just showing you some hints right now. So you tie it together, and then you can tie it again, just to double knot it. And what does this do? This makes sure that you don't lose your needle. Your needle's not going to slip out now. It's on this end, right there, and it's tied off on that end, so everything's good to go. So that's one hint I'll show you, how to tie your needle. Again, if you have a different way, it's good with me. The next thing I'm going to show you is the hammering part. And when you hammer it together, you want to be careful that you don't poke holes in anything. So one thing you can do is you can take your felt before you cut designs, you can put it underneath. I grabbed an old book that I've read before. I put that down, I put the felt on top. I go ahead and put my journal. You can see I've already pre-holed it a little bit. You see those holes right there? I'm going to put that right here, okay? And it's going to be hard to see, but I'll just show you like what I'm doing. Let me see if I can adjust it just a bit. There you go. Now you can see it a little bit better. So I'm going to go ahead and put my nail right there, and I'm going to hammer it in, and you can see the nails inside. I'm going to pull it out, and there you go. So I'm going to ask you to do at least 10 holes, because 10 holes means you've got a good amount of sewing you can do. One thing you want to make sure you do is when you have your sheets of paper, bind them. You see how I put the binding clips here? That just keeps everything in place. Again, you don't have to do the notebook like I did here. You can, fold it in half if you want and put your binding clips on the side. However you want to do it. But as long as you have those clips here, you don't have to worry about anything shifting, moving out of the way, and you'll get a nice clean book. Now the next thing I do want to do is show you just the basics of sewing. And I've already started it. You can see I have a couple of threads already. But I'm going to go ahead and grab my needle. And because I'm at this point, I'm going to put it through right here. There we go. You see how I'm pushing it through? All right, it's on that side now. And I'm going to pull it all the way through. And there you go. So now I have a new stitch over there, and that's good. Now I like to double stitch. Again, you don't have to do this, but I like to do it. So you can see my next hole right there. My next hole, I go down to it. All right. Sometimes it's hard to push through. You go ahead and grab it and pull it on through. There we go. And then to double stitch, you see how I have a missing loop here? You go up from the one you previously did. So where there's already thread right here, you would go find that hole again, and you'd push it through that hole. And you can see there's already thread there, but I'm going to push it through. And as I pull it through, you're going to notice that it makes a new thread, okay? So that's one way of sewing, but that's the idea. You want to sew it together. Now, when you're done sewing, what you want to do is you kind of want to push your needle underneath the loops so that you get a hole like this. Now, it's going to be much smaller. Go ahead and put it through, and then pull it tight. And that creates a little knot. You can see the knot right there. If I can move my finger, that creates a knot, so it ties it off so it doesn't unravel, okay? But again, if you have a different method, go ahead. When you start to decorate like the front cover, let's say that's the front cover, make sure you open it up. Oh, I gotta take my binder clips off to do that. Make sure you open it up so that when you're decorating the cover, you don't go into the sheets of paper. Okay, so you just open it up and you do whatever you want there. I've seen kids embroider their names with yarn. I've seen them use the felt. Again, the felt that we give you like this. Cut shapes out, sew that in, things like that. Now, if you have some glue or tape and you'd rather do that with your decorations, that's fine. But you do need to sew the binding. Now, I would like you to sew as much as you can. So if you do want to put your initials in, it would be best if you would embroider them, sew them in, poke holes again, and then, put your thread through or your yarn through to make the initials come out or the full name come out. It's better if you sew on your pieces of felt. One thing you definitely have to sew on is your button. It has 2 little holes. So basically with a button, you just kind of go back and forth between the hole and you tie it down. You want to go ahead and put it wherever you want, but make sure you don't push it through the entire notebook. It's important that you be aware of stuff like that, but after that, you make it the way you want it. Anything you want. If you just want to like take markers and decorate the whole front with coloring, that's fine too, however you want. If you have some tape you want to use to make shapes and whatnot, that's yours, up to you. We just ask that you sew the journal together so that when you open it up, it reads like a book, okay? Now, what are you going to do with the journal? Well, that's what scientists do. They use journals to take notes. There's a very, very famous scientist, the name of Charles Darwin. And what he's known for is being the father of evolution, even though he never really used that word. That was later coined later on. His whole thing was natural selection, like certain animals adapt to certain environments because if they don't, they won't survive. Well, this is, in the 1860s or and earlier, when he was a scientist, we didn't have cameras there available to everybody. So when he was going around, say, the Galapagos Islands, he couldn't take pictures of like the finches or the tortoises that he saw. What he had to do is he had to draw them. So what did he have? He had himself a journal. All right. So that's what scientists use them for. They use them for diagrams. They use them for drawings. They use them to take notes. They use them for everything. So just because this is a science journal doesn't mean you can't record other things. Like other things that you do throughout the day, you can record in this journal. So let's say you do the journal on Monday, but it's the last thing you do that day. On Tuesday, you can write about, okay, today we learned this song, or we did this exercise. You can add all that to your journal as well. So that's the really cool thing about it, is you can just record your thoughts. If you feel like drawing something in there because you have like a great comic book idea or a great idea for an anime character or whatever, go ahead and put that in there as well. Your journal is for your use, and when you have 10 pages in there, front and back, you actually have 20 pages, so you have a lot of space to record a lot of things. So that's the making part of journaling, and the journaling part is putting your notes in. If you can, go ahead and take some pictures and send them to us. So you show us what you've done in your journal. Show us how you sewed it together. It's really great. Here's a couple of completed journals just so you can see. This is one where I folded everything in half and I did the binding in the middle there, like this. I made a little design with my binding on that one. And then here's one of the other style where I went all the way down, and when you open it up, the pages are nice and secure inside, and there's no middle part right there. It's all on the side here. So there's lots of different ways to make a journal. You can make it any way you want and be as creative as you can be. All right, that's today's lesson. I hope you are well. We hope to see you soon. I hope you're having a great summer. I hope you enjoy camp. All right, I'm Jason again. Talk to you later. Bye now.